Well, thank you so much for inviting me here today, and of course I acknowledge my colleagues, Senator Franken, Congresswoman McCollum, whose district we're in right now, and also Congressman Ellison. And I wanted to thank Congressman Ellison. I saw him earlier this morning for his leadership and the constant reminder of the positive contributions of Muslim Americans, as you can see in Congressman Ellison. Today, Minnesotans join with all Americans in remembering that terrible day 10 years ago. We remember those who were killed as well as their families who grieve. And while we remember the evil acts of a few, we most remember the heroic acts of many. We remember the brave first responders who risked and in many cases sacrificed their lives to help others, those that ran toward and not away from those burning buildings. We remember our Minnesota servicemen and women, and remember all of those that have served our country. I'm sure that most of us remember that day vividly. The blue sky in Minnesota, similar to what we see today, that crisp morning. We all remember where we were that morning. I remember walking my 6-year-old daughter to school and hearing about it when I was at the school. And then I remember hugging her, because it was certainly that moment to hug a child. And what do we tell these children now as they're 10 years older? Well, we know that these terrorists, by turning 4 passenger jets into missiles, were seeking not only to make a hole in America's soil, but also in our soul. Well, they did not succeed. Today, Osama bin Laden is gone, but America is still here. And with all of our troubles, we are still a great nation. We are still strong. And just as the victims of 9/11 were Christians, Jews, and Muslims, so many faiths that are gathered here today, so the fabric of life in our society, we still shine bright as the world's beacon of freedom and democracy and religious freedom. I think everyone here knows someone who perished on 9/11. That has helped to preserve the basic humanity of those who died and prevents them from becoming just a large number, from becoming an abstraction. It's often said that memorials aren't really for the dead, but for the living. It's an occasion to reaffirm life, the life of the one who is gone, and the value of life itself for all of us. And as difficult as it may be, as we gather here today, it reaffirms our faith in God, our faith in humanity, that this was not lost in the rubble at Ground Zero or at the Pentagon or in that Pennsylvania field. It lives on with all of us gathered here today. And for my reading, I chose something that was written back in 2002 on the 1-year anniversary of 9/11 by the United States Poet Laureate Billy Collins. He was asked to write a poem to mark that anniversary, and he was asked to read the poem at a special joint session of Congress in New York. The poem is simply called The Names. It's an elegy, a poem for the dead, a tribute to the individual victims of 9/11. He uses the alphabet, and for each letter he chooses one name to represent all of the other victims. Woven throughout the poem are brief, simple descriptions of ordinary images from everyday life, as if everyday life had continued. Here are the poem's final lines. These are the names of citizens, workers, mothers, and fathers. The bright-eyed daughter, the quick son. Alphabet of names in a green field. Names in a small track of birds. Names lifted from a hat or balanced on the tip of the tongue. Names wheeled into the dim warehouse of memory. So many names, there is barely room on the walls of the heart. So we gather here today with those names etched in the walls of our hearts. We gather to honor the citizens, the workers, the mothers and fathers, the firefighters. We gather to honor the heroes. Thank you very much.